Greetings, friends. Welcome to Ruslan Belov's channel, where today, September 4th, 2025, we'll dive into the situation in Ukraine. It's been a day packed with significant developments, so let's get started. We'll begin with the Zaporizhzhia front. Today, several critical pieces of footage emerged from this sector, including one from the southeastern part of the village of Mala Tokmachka. This footage shows FPV drone strikes targeting Russian armed forces positions within the village. These visuals are valuable because they give us a clearer picture of the current front line. They also confirm that, despite possible counterattacks by the Ukrainian Armed Forces, AFU, Russian troops maintain their presence in this strategically vital village. While there may be no ground advances, their foothold remains intact. Next, we shift to the eastern Zaporizhzhia direction, where Russian forces are actively advancing. It appears that the situation for AFU units here could soon become critical. Over the past 24 hours, there have been updates to the maps, some confirmed, others reported by various cartographers. Before we dive in, let's compare the maps for clarity. Here's how the situation looked yesterday, September 3rd, 2025. The Vostok East Troop Grouping announced the start of an assault on the village of Novoselovka, which has been progressing successfully. By today, September 4th, neutral cartographers have marked updates around Kamyshevarka. Meanwhile, the Vostok grouping has released objective control footage, showing how the battle unfolded for this small village along the Volchya River. The footage reveals artillery barrages, drone strikes, and airstrikes. The village itself, along with surrounding tree lines and forested areas, has been heavily bombarded, essentially leveled. In the final segments of the video, we see 4 instances of Russian units raising the Russian tricolor in different parts of Novoselovka. Returning to the map, all flag locations have been geolocated. One was raised at the eastern entrance to the village, another in the northern outskirts, and a third in the southwestern part. These coordinates were deliberately chosen to convince even the most discerning viewers, dispelling any notions of a mere flag-planting stunt. It's clear and undeniable. 3 flags in 3 locations confirm that Novoselovka is now fully and firmly under the control of the Russian armed forces. Following this, some cartographers began making their own adjustments. Today, certain pro-Western experts and OSINT analysts report that beyond Novoselovka, Russian forces have entered the village of Koroshi, located south of Novoselovka or west of Verona. The impression is that after Koroshi, the next target will likely be Sosnovka. After Sosnovka, Russian forces are expected to press heavily on the defensive strongpoints to the south, fortifications designed to repel attacks from south to north, not from east to west or north to south. In the near future, this extensive network of strongpoints, stretching from Malivka Kamyshevarka westward toward Verbov and further to the R85 highway, may collapse and be completely cleared by Russian units. The pace of the offensive here is notably high, and we'll keep monitoring how the situation unfolds. Another potential scenario involves crossing the Volchya River and moving through the small Dubovsky forest to reach the eastern outskirts of Velika Mikhailivka. This is a significant settlement, and if Russian forces manage to secure it fully, it could serve as a staging ground for amassing additional forces to push toward Pokrovsk. The smaller villages in the eastern Zaporizhzhia direction, often just 1 or 2 streets, hold little strategic value for force accumulation. In contrast, larger settlements like Velika Mikhailivka, Pokrovsk, Hulyaypol, and Uspanovka offer the space and infrastructure needed to gather substantial forces. Moving on to the Pokrovsk front, the main fighting is centered around the village of Moravka. Just a few days ago, footage surfaced showing Russian drones dropping leaflets urging Ukrainian units in the area to surrender, a clear first step in a series of moves leading up to a major assault. Today, only 3 days later, new footage shows Russian artillery and FPV drones actively targeting a butterfly-shaped strongpoint just southwest of Moravka. There's a strong likelihood that Moravka is now under Russian control, with Russian units attempting to advance directly toward Novopavlivka. This sector warrants close attention, as frontline updates are likely imminent. Now let's turn to the Pokrovsk agglomeration, specifically its eastern outskirts, where some of the fiercest battles are raging. There have been notable map adjustments here, so let's break it down in detail. Over the past few days, Ukrainian forces have been actively advancing toward Novoekonomiction. Objective control footage has been released, map updates have been made, and Ukrainian presence was confirmed in areas like Mirnoe and Myrolyubivka. The Ukrainian offensive aimed to narrow the corridor used by both Ukrainian and Russian units to access the breakthrough zone. This push appears to have been effective, as even pro-Western, pro-Ukrainian, and some pro-Russian analysts have gradually updated their maps in favor of the AFU. According to the latest reports, over the past night and day, Ukrainian forces launched a counterattack near the Mirnohradska mine, reportedly bringing it fully under their control. For now, we're marking this area as a grey zone, as there's no definitive proof of the counterattack's success. We'll await more concrete evidence. Of course, we'll wait until we get something more, let's say, substantial. For now, we'll keep this in the grey zone. And despite these, let's say, apparent successes by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Mirnograd area, today some very interesting footage was published, again by the Ukrainian side. But this time, we can see a very interesting attack carried out by the Russian armed forces. In these clips, we can generally see what the town of Mirnograd looks like right now. From the southeast, we see numerous fires. We see artillery and airstrikes hitting the town, and overall the city is gradually being erased, turning to dust. After apparently a heavy artillery and aerial bombardment, Russian units started moving. These clips were published by the Ukrainian side. Here, we can observe the Russian armored vehicle, Mangal, moving toward Mirnograd under attacks from Ukrainian FPV drones. At some point, we see the armored vehicle being hit and destroyed. If we go back to the map, during this footage, two locations were geolocated. One position where the vehicle was moving is along the forest strip between, let's say, Myrolyubivka and Mirnograd. The final point the armored vehicle reached is a small mine, or some industrial complex, located east of Vernograd and west of Nikolaevka and Novoekonomichnaya. Here's the exact spot. You can check the footage again, this moment I'm talking about, this structure. You can clearly identify it both on the map and in the video. This is where the Russian units managed to reach. The fate of the assault group is unknown. However, in this video, there is no footage showing, for example, drone strikes on the disembarking troops. That didn't happen, so we can assume, since the Ukrainian side didn't publish such clips, that Russian units managed to break through the defense along this forest strip, reach the north, get to the structures with the armored vehicle, disembark, take up defense, and possibly during withdrawal, the vehicle was abandoned and completely destroyed. So for now, the fate of this direction is unknown, but there is a very high chance that Russian assault troops are currently at this point, maintaining circular defense, supported by possibly hundreds of drones from the Rubicon team. Even looking at the map from this perspective, it's clear what the main goal was. If we look at the map, these structures lie along the main supply roads leading east toward Nikolaevka, Novoekonomichnaya, and the Mirnograd mine. In fact, the main road was physically cut off by Russian units, with hundreds of drones likely still patrolling above. The main task is to prevent resupply of the Ukrainian forces in Novoekonomichnaya, the Mirnograd mine, and the network of strongpoints slightly southeast. For now, all resupply in this area will definitely be complicated. How long Russian units can hold the defense is, of course, an interesting question we can't answer. But for now, these positions are held by Russian units, while the main Russian forces are likely advancing through Novoekonomichnaya and the strongpoints network. The outcome depends not only on the surrounded troops, but also on the units trying to close in on them. We'll watch how the situation develops, but overall we see intense, fierce fighting here. Regarding Constantinovka, there are no major changes along the front line. Likely regrouping is ongoing, but it cannot continue indefinitely. Everyone clearly understands that within a few days, the Russian army might begin active offensive in this direction. Today, Ukrainian sources are circulating footage showing Russian units moving from the Kherson and Sumy directions toward the front line. Western analysts note that many units and equipment have been concentrated in the main battle zone, so we can say the battle for Constantinovka is imminent. Meanwhile, Russian forces are regrouping, and Ukrainian units are trying counterattacks around Constantinovka to improve positions before the main battle. Neutral mappers report Ukrainian counterattacks near Pritakina. regaining control over fields, forest strips, and Constantinovka dachas. Despite pro-Russian sources claiming advances in Constantinovka dachas, as of September 4th, we have no confirmation. The information suggests control is reverting to Ukrainian forces. On the Seversk front, we see most geolocations coming from this direction, and a clearer picture is emerging. Based on footage, the Russian army is likely to continue advancing along the railway towards southeast Seversk. Artillery is active, FPV drone operators are being targeted, and Ukrainian positions are being cleared meter by meter. Also, from Peresnyevo toward Kuzminovka, an offensive will likely activate soon. Russian FPV drone operators and artillery are continuously working here. Soon, Russian forces are expected to reach the Seversky Donets River near Debrovo. Pro-Russian mappers have already marked this. Overall, data suggests a potential crossing of the Seversky Donets and an advance toward northern Seversk. It's going to be intense. On the Lyman direction, map adjustments show the Russian army tightening control around Ukrainian positions in Shandrigolova. Space under Ukrainian control is shrinking, and retreat westward seems likely. We've also received the first objective control footage west of the Nitrius River in the Izium sector. Ukrainian forces are rushing to stabilize the line and prevent a new breakthrough, reinforcing positions near Korovy Yar, Rubtsy, and Nitrius River. It seems nothing here is fully prepared, increasing the likelihood that instead of advancing toward Shendrigolovo, the Russian army might push west toward Korovy Yar, Yatskovka, Rubtsy, and Lozovoye, which could yield more effective results than the Lyman advance. Additionally, neutral mappers report Glushenkova is fully under Russian control, and Russian forces are near Druzhlyubovka. So it's too early to say exactly where the Russian army will advance, as besides Lyman, Borovaya, and Seversk, there's also the Izium sector. On the Kupino sector, nothing has changed. Yesterday, the Ministry of Defense published footage of Russian flags raised in the northwest part of a settlement, confirming partial control, but movement has since stopped. The situation hasn't changed for a long time. It's hard to say whether Russia will complete this operation, or if it will wait until after the main battle, or leave it for negotiations. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and all the best.